Shalom, my friends. Before you sleep tonight, I want you to take part in a simple but deeply meaningful practice that can begin lifting the heavy burden of debt from your life. Not someday in the future, not when circumstances improve. Tonight. And let me say this clearly from the start, this is not superstition or fantasy. It is ancient spiritual wisdom rooted in Jewish tradition, a sacred practice that has helped people for generations break free from financial fear and reconnect with a mindset of peace, responsibility, and abundance. This ritual centers around two powerful elements mentioned throughout the Torah: salt and water. Salt represents covenant, endurance, and protection. Water represents cleansing, renewal, and spiritual rebirth. When these two are combined with sincere intention and honest reflection, they can become a powerful symbol of personal transformation. This is not only about money. It is about changing the way you carry fear, shame, pressure, and hopelessness inside yourself. True financial healing begins within the heart and mind long before it appears in your bank account. Before we continue, I want you to make a declaration. Say these words aloud or write them down somewhere meaningful. Tonight, I release the spirit of debt from my life. Do it with conviction, because every transformation begins with a decision. The moment you give language to your intention, something inside you begins to shift. And if you are new here, welcome to Rabbi David Torah Wisdom Path, a place where timeless Jewish wisdom is shared in a practical and honest way to help bring clarity, strength, and spiritual direction into everyday life. Here, we believe that lasting financial change is not built only through numbers and strategies, but through inner alignment, discipline, faith, and wisdom. I want to share something personal with you. There was a season in my own life when debt nearly consumed me. I owed more money than I could emotionally carry. Business investments failed, expenses piled up. Little compromises became major obligations. And like most debt, it did not arrive all at once. It grew slowly, quietly, until one day I realized I was completely trapped beneath it. Every night I would lie awake, replaying calculations in my head, trying to figure out how to escape. The stress followed me everywhere. It affected my health, my peace, and my relationships. My family could feel the pressure even when I tried to hide it. I became exhausted emotionally and spiritually. I worked longer hours. I sacrificed rest. I searched for solutions everywhere. I negotiated payments, reduced expenses, took extra work, and explored every practical option I could find. Some things helped temporarily, but the fear never truly disappeared. Deep inside, I still felt chained to anxiety and shame. Then one day, my grandmother came to visit. She was the wife of a rabbi, a woman whose faith had been forged through unimaginable hardship. She had survived terrible suffering, lost nearly everything, and still rebuilt her life with dignity, wisdom, and trust in God. There was a calmness about her that could silence a room. She listened to me explain my situation, all my worries and frustrations, without interrupting once. When I finished, she simply looked at me and said, "You are trying to solve a spiritual burden with only physical tools." I never forgot those words. She explained that debt is more than numbers. It can become an emotional and spiritual weight that settles into your identity. Over time, people stop seeing debt as something they experience and begin seeing it as who they are. They live with constant fear, scarcity, guilt, and panic. And when the mind becomes trapped in fear, wisdom disappears. Opportunities become invisible. Creativity shrinks. Peace leaves the home. That night, she taught me a practice she had learned from her own family many years earlier. She told me to fill a bowl with water and add a small handful of salt. Then she instructed me to sit quietly before bed, place my hands over the bowl, and speak honestly before God. Not with performance, not with religious pride, just honesty. She told me to confess my fear, my mistakes, my anxiety, and my exhaustion. Then she asked me to say these words: "May every burden that keeps me trapped be washed away. May wisdom replace confusion, discipline replace chaos, and peace replace fear." Afterward, she instructed me to wash my hands gently in the water as a symbol of releasing shame and mental heaviness. Then pour the water outside or down the drain, not as magic, but as an act of surrender. A physical reminder that you are no longer choosing to carry the same fear into tomorrow. At first I was skeptical. Part of me thought it sounded too simple. But another part of me realized I had already tried everything else, while remaining emotionally broken inside. So I did it, and something unexpected happened. The debt did not disappear overnight. No miracle money appeared at my door, but my mind became clearer. My fear began loosening its grip. I slept peacefully for the first time in months. Instead of waking up in panic, I woke up with focus. Over time, I began making wiser decisions. I stopped operating from desperation. New opportunities appeared that I would have ignored before, because fear had blinded me. Little by little, my situation changed. That is the deeper truth people often miss. Transformation usually begins internally before it becomes visible externally. Peace creates clarity. Clarity creates wise action. Wise action creates restoration. Tonight, I invite you to do the same. Take a small bowl, fill it with clean water, add a pinch of salt. Sit somewhere quiet before sleep. Turn off distractions. Breathe deeply. Think honestly about the burdens you have been carrying. Then speak openly before God. Release the fear. Release the shame. Release the constant pressure you have been holding inside. And when you wash your hands in the water, do it with intention. Let it symbolize the decision to stop identifying yourself with lack, fear, and defeat. You are not your debt. You are not your mistakes. You are a human being capable of rebuilding, learning, and rising again with wisdom and faith. Then go to sleep peacefully tonight. Not because every problem is solved instantly, but because your spirit no longer has to remain chained to hopelessness. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not sudden wealth. Sometimes the greatest miracle is the return of peace, clarity, and courage. And from that place, a new future can finally begin. When my grandmother looked into my eyes that evening, she immediately sensed the heaviness I was carrying. She did not need long explanations. She simply asked me, "David, what is weighing down your spirit?" And in that moment, something inside me broke open. I told her everything. I told her about the debt, the endless numbers, the pressure that never stopped following me, the sleepless nights, the fear of the future, and the shame that I could not escape. I admitted how trapped I felt. Like no matter how hard I worked, I could never truly get ahead. She listened quietly without interrupting me. Then, after a long silence, she spoke words that stayed with me for the rest of my life. She said, "David, debt is not only a financial issue. It is also a spiritual burden. You are not just carrying bills and obligations. You are carrying shame, fear, and separation from the flow of God's abundance. Before the situation around you can change, something inside you must change first. Your spirit must be cleansed. You must release the mindset of debt and awaken the mindset of freedom." I want you to really think about that phrase for a moment, the mindset of debt, because that is where the real battle begins. The greatest enemy is not the amount you owe. It is not the bank, the interest, or the pressure from creditors. The true enemy is the belief that you are stuck forever, the belief that your debt defines your identity, the belief that you are permanently trapped and cut off from peace, success, and abundance. That kind of thinking slowly becomes a spiritual weight. It follows you into every conversation, every financial choice, every opportunity, and every relationship. It changes the way you see yourself. And according to my grandmother, this mindset survives through two powerful forces, shame and disconnection. First comes shame. You feel embarrassed about your situation, so you hide it. You stop opening letters. You avoid phone calls. You pretend everything is fine, while fear quietly grows inside you. You isolate yourself because you do not want anyone to see your struggle. And the more you hide it, the stronger it becomes. Shame feeds on silence. Then comes disconnection. You begin to feel as though blessings belong to everyone except you. You look at other people succeeding and secretly believe that prosperity somehow skipped over your life. You feel disconnected from hope, disconnected from purpose, and disconnected from the idea that God still has abundance available for you. And once you believe that, you unknowingly stop looking for opportunities. You stop taking bold action. You stop expecting good things to happen. Your world becomes smaller. Fear makes you shrink, and while you are shrinking, the debt keeps growing. My grandmother understood something most people never realize. She knew that external problems cannot fully change until the internal condition changes first. That night she explained to me that the Torah contains deep symbolism around cleansing and renewal. She told me that salt and water were never meant to be seen as ordinary things alone. In the ancient teachings, salt represents covenant, endurance, and connection with the divine. It was used in sacred offerings as a symbol of preservation and faithfulness. Water represents purification, healing, and spiritual renewal. It washes away what no longer belongs and creates space for something new. The ancient mystics believed that when salt and water are brought together with focused intention, they become a powerful symbol for releasing spiritual heaviness and restoring inner clarity. Then she taught me a practice she had learned many years earlier. She said, "Tonight you will perform a cleansing ritual with salt and water. As you do it, you will begin releasing the spirit of debt from your life. You will let go of shame. You will let go of fear. You will reconnect yourself to God's abundance. And once your mindset changes, your decisions will change. When your decisions change, your life will begin changing too." I will be honest with you. At that point, I was skeptical. I was drowning in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, and my grandmother was handing me a bowl of salt water. Part of me questioned how something so simple could possibly matter. But another part of me saw the peace in her eyes. She spoke with such certainty and calmness that I trusted her enough to try. That night, I followed her instructions exactly. I filled a bowl with water and added salt to it. I sat quietly alone, holding the bowl in my hands, and I spoke from the deepest part of my heart. I admitted my fear. I admitted my exhaustion. I admitted how lost I felt. And as I spoke, something inside me began to shift. I cannot explain it perfectly in logical terms. But I felt lighter. It was as if pressure I had carried for years finally loosened its grip on me. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe deeply again. I felt peace returning to me. More importantly, I felt connected again to something greater than my fear and greater than my financial problems. What happened afterwards surprised me even more. Within days, an unexpected business opportunity came into my life. Within weeks, money began flowing in from places I had not anticipated. Within months, I had paid off a huge portion of my debt, and eventually I became completely debt-free. Now let me say this clearly. The salt water itself was not magic. The real transformation came from the shift that happened inside me. The ritual changed my mindset. It changed the way I saw myself. It changed how I approached conversations, decisions, risks, and opportunities. Instead of operating from panic and defeat, I started operating from clarity, discipline, and hope. And those new actions created new results. So now I want to share the ritual with you exactly as it was shared with me. Tonight, before you sleep, prepare a small bowl of clean water. If possible, use filtered or spring water. Add a small amount of sea salt or kosher salt. Find a quiet place where you will not be interrupted for at least 15 or 20 minutes. If you have a candle, you may light it, but it is not necessary. The important thing is not the appearance of the ritual. The important thing is your intention, your honesty, and your willingness to release the burden you have been carrying for far too long. The ritual itself contains 9 simple steps, and I encourage you not to rush through any of them. This is not something you do mechanically in 2 minutes while your mind is somewhere else. The true power comes from your focus, your sincerity, and the meaning you attach to every action and every word. Begin by preparing a quiet place where you can be alone without interruption. It could be your bedroom, your bathroom, or any corner of your home where you feel calm and safe. If you have a candle, light it. The flame is a reminder that awareness can break through darkness, just as light enters a room the moment a candle is lit. Take your bowl of water and add 3 small pinches of salt. As you place each pinch into the water, speak with intention. Say to yourself, "I place this salt here as a symbol of renewal and release. I align myself with freedom, restoration, and abundance. I open myself to a new beginning." Next, hold the bowl gently in both hands. Close your eyes and breathe slowly 3 times. Feel yourself becoming still. Feel the weight of the bowl in your hands and allow your thoughts to settle. Imagine the presence of God surrounding you with peace and understanding. Then speak out loud with honesty and conviction. "I release the mindset of fear and limitation. I let go of shame, pressure, and the belief that I am trapped. I release every burden that has defined me for too long. I open myself to peace, provision, and freedom. I am worthy of restoration. I am blessed. I am supported by the Creator, and I welcome abundance into my life." After that comes the cleansing of the mind. Dip your right hand into the salt water and gently touch your forehead. As you do, say, "I clear my mind of thoughts rooted in fear and lack. I release every belief that tells me nothing can change. I let go of hopeless thinking and welcome clarity, wisdom, and possibility. My mind is no longer ruled by fear. My thoughts are free." Then move to your heart. Dip your hand into the water once more and place it over your chest. Speak slowly and sincerely, I cleanse my heart of shame, anxiety, and despair. I release every painful emotion connected to my struggles. I refuse to carry the identity of defeat any longer. I welcome hope, peace, and healing into my heart. My heart is open and my spirit is free. The next step is for your hands. Touch both hands with the salt water and say, I release the heaviness that has held me back. I free my hands to create, build, work, receive, and prosper. May my efforts be blessed. May my work lead me towards stability, peace, and abundance. My hands are prepared for a better future. Then anoint your feet. As you touch the water to them, say, I clear every obstacle from my path. I release every fear and resistance standing in my way. May my steps lead toward opportunity, freedom, wisdom, and blessing. My road forward is open, and my future is no longer blocked. Now hold the bowl out in front of you and look into the water quietly for a few moments. Imagine it carrying away every layer of fear, shame, stress, and limitation you have been carrying inside yourself. See the weight lifting from your shoulders. Picture yourself becoming lighter, calmer, and more hopeful with every breath. Allow yourself to truly feel what freedom might feel like. Then softly say, I am renewed. I am cleansed. I am free. After this, speak your final declaration slowly and with confidence. Do not just repeat words. Feel them. Say, I have released the identity of struggle and fear. I no longer define myself by debt or limitation. I reconnect myself with peace, wisdom, and abundance. I deserve freedom. I deserve restoration. I welcome prosperity, stability, and blessing into my life. And so it is. The final step is simple but important. Take the bowl and pour the water into the earth outside or down a sink. As the water leaves the bowl, imagine yourself letting go of the old mindset completely. Say, I release this burden fully. I let it be transformed and washed away. I step forward lighter, clearer, and free. That is the complete practice. 9 simple steps that take only 15 or 20 minutes, yet can create a powerful emotional and spiritual shift inside you. And once again, I want to make something very clear. The change does not come from the salt or the water themselves. The real transformation comes from what happens within you during the ritual. It becomes a deliberate declaration that you are no longer choosing to live under the identity of fear, shame, and defeat. You stop seeing yourself as permanently trapped by what you owe. And when that internal shift becomes real, your actions begin to change naturally. You start thinking more clearly. You begin making decisions from wisdom instead of panic. You notice opportunities you once ignored. You regain confidence, energy, and direction. That is where true transformation begins. I remember one woman named Rachel who shared her story with me after practicing this ritual consistently. She had lived with debt for more than a decade. Credit cards, medical expenses, student loans, car payments, it felt endless. Every month she paid the minimum amounts, yet the total never seemed to move. She told me the worst part was not even the money itself. It was the exhaustion, the hopelessness, and the feeling that she would spend the rest of her life trying to survive instead of truly living. Rachel had been drowning in debt for more than 10 years. Credit cards, medical bills, student loans, car payments, it felt endless. Every month she made payments, yet the balances barely changed. She was exhausted emotionally and financially, and little by little she started losing hope. When I first shared this ritual with her, she looked at me skeptically and said, Rabbi, I believe in practical solutions, not rituals. And I told her, this is practical because it addresses the part of the problem you've been ignoring, the condition inside you. That night she decided to try it. The next morning something shifted. For the first time in years, she called her creditors instead of avoiding them. She negotiated lower interest rates she had been too afraid to ask for. Within days, she created a real plan to eliminate her debt. Within a year, she had paid off $30,000. 2 years later, she was completely debt-free. The ritual itself did not erase the debt. What changed her life was the clarity and courage the ritual awakened inside her. Then there was David. For years he lived in denial. He ignored collection calls, left envelopes unopened, and avoided facing reality because the shame felt unbearable. But after performing the ritual one night, he woke up with a different mindset. The next day, he opened every letter he had hidden away. He contacted creditors, arranged payment plans, and stopped running from his situation. 6 months later, he had already paid off $20,000. A year later, over $50,000 was gone. Eventually, he became completely free. What changed was not his math, it was his willingness to face what fear had controlled for years. Sarah's story was different. She had already tried every budgeting system, side hustle, and financial strategy she could find. Nothing seemed to move fast enough, and she had started believing debt would always define her future. But after performing the ritual, she woke up the next morning with a clear business idea she had never considered before. She acted on it immediately. Within a year, she generated enough income to pay off $40,000 of debt, and within 2 years she had completely rebuilt her financial life. The ritual did not magically hand her success. It helped remove the fear and hopelessness that had been blocking her ability to see new possibilities. Some people will ask, "Rabbi, is this just psychology? Is this only a placebo?" Maybe there is a psychological element to it. But think about this honestly. If a ritual helps move someone from fear into courage, from shame into confidence, from paralysis into action, and that shift transforms their life, does it really matter what label you give it? The Torah teaches that words carry power, intention carries power, and rituals carry power because they change the human spirit. When your inner world changes, your outer world begins to follow.